we do have McDonough County Sheriff Nicholas Petitgout. Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing well.
Good. It's time to catch up on
wow.
what's going on in McDonough County. I've got a full list here of things you and I talked about off the air.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who's in the jail.
Lots. So currently in McDonough County, we have 35 to 40 inmates, depending on the weekend. And it's significantly higher than a lot of counties with populations our size. So we've been dealing with that. We have a lot of high-profile cases in McDonough County, which is, I think that's the reason for it. I don't know if you read the newspaper or not, but there's quite a bit of very large cases in McDonough County. So we're kind of fighting our way through that. Getting people through the criminal justice system does take a while, and looking to hopefully get some things moved along here this summer.
Sure. And Sheriff Petitgout, what these high-profile cases, any idea why the increase in these type of high-profile attempted murder cases are in McDonough County?
We've seen an increase in violence across this country, and for really no reason. And depending on what side of the aisle you sit on, you may blame guns, or you may blame society, or you may blame people's choices. But we have seen just a significant rise in violent crime, which we had never seen before in this area. Couple that with the economy, couple that with Illinois and some of their policies, and we just have like this perfect spike. And then also, you have to look at like the types of crimes that are being committed. You get some of these crimes that could easily be, an aggravated battery with a weapon, and then they wind up being a homicide because, you're 2 inches this way, or you're 2 inches that way, or you're, you aim for, a certain spot on the body. And there's a lot of those probably high profile cases that could probably easily be, an aggravated battery and not be, a homicide. So it goes both ways. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but in our profession it does. It just, you kind of get the sort of the roll of the dice sometimes. So we're struggling a little bit with just a lot of big cases, but I think we're moving our way through, especially this summer. I think we're going to move our way through these cases.
Okay.
Get them behind us.
And the No Cash Bail or Safety Act, tell us a little bit about that, because some jails are seeing less people. You're saying I'm seeing a significant increase.
How much time do you have?
Sure.
Do you?
The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. How much time do I have? The Safety Act is pretty unfortunate for victims of crime. That is a place that I will stand very firm. The Safety Act does not represent crime victims very well. Very pro criminal, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that with this. We love to call it meth theft. You get a certain person or group of people who commit crime. They steal from us, law-abiding taxpayers, and then they take our stuff and they trade it or sell it so they can get enough money to buy methamphetamine and run some money through some slot machines in Illinois. So that's where we're at. And it is kind of a game that we've been playing now. They've figured it out. In Illinois, if you commit just a burglary to a building, you don't get detained. And it's very unfortunate because we write these people tickets and we send them out the door, and they just do it again and again and again. And then when we finally get them to court, or we finally get to them some sort of resolve, it's been years later, and they have 8, 9, 10, 16 felonies on their record. And then they go to prison for one of them. And it's really unfortunate. I don't like the way that it's been here the last year. It's just not how I imagined law enforcement. It's not how any of us imagined law enforcement, when we signed up for this, because we all did this out of a calling. We wanted to be in this profession. I was joking with you off the air about, nights, weekends, and holidays and low pay. You don't do that for you don't do this job for the money. So it's been unfortunate, but really seeing that cycle of, like I talked about, that meth theft. And that's really what, Warren County, McDonough, Fulton, Hancock, all of us have seen in rural America is stealing every day and buying some meth and then turn around and running some money through some slot machines, and then we just start all over again. So
it's a cycle is what you're describing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And the slot machines, you're referring to the gaming machines?
Yeah. I don't like those things. I don't like them. It really has not done anything for our state. I don't know, no one will look at me and go, "You're a very religious person." Like, I was born and raised Catholic, and I still go to church, but I'm not an overly religious person. But Illinois has gone all in on sin, and I don't know where how you feel about that, and I don't know how anyone, if they've given it the thought that it deserves. But we have really seen just this influx of people who cannot afford to gamble, who are just running money through these machines and ruining their lives and maxing out credit cards and devastating themselves financially. And, in Illinois, we're just like, yeah, keep doing it. And I don't understand why someone hasn't, stood up for people who can't afford it. And it's not going to get any better, but Illinois looks at it as a revenue stream, and I just see it as evil. So here we are.
Well, you and I were looking at the Illinois Gaming Board numbers, the statistics by municipality, and just in the month of March alone, $2 million went through McDonough County in those machines, and it's quite a lot here in Warren County as well, especially with the Love's Travel stop.
Got that truck stop there, yeah.
And anybody can go online and see them, and it's a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about 20, 30 million a year. Yeah. Could you imagine what that 20 or 30 million could do for people as opposed to going in the machines? But it's addictive. It's a disease.
It is. And I mean, just people will say, well, that 20 or 30 million, goes to the state. There's revenue there. Mm-hmm. A percentage of that is revenue for the state. But can you imagine what $20 million would do for a town the size of Monmouth if that $20 million was spent in your storefronts? And people are not looking at it that way. And I'm just like, why are you not looking at it that way? Oh, well, this bar made, $78,000 in revenue for the state. And I'm like, yeah, but $78,000 would have looked really good at the lumber yard. It would have looked really good at the clothing store. It would have looked really good at the grocery store. So, yeah, I don't care if I get beat up for it or not. I just think it's trashy and it's just not looking good for us. So, it's I don't care. I don't think it's good for the state. And the people who cannot afford to do this are the ones that are doing it.
We're talking with McDonough County Sheriff Nicholas Petitgout. And Sheriff, there's other items too that we wanted to talk about today, because we're not going to be able to get the state to stop with gaming machines. That's for sure.
No. So yeah, there you go. I'll just let that go.
And they also making changes to possibly pension reform. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on in Springfield.
So there's a few emails that were flying around by the FOP just recently. So in our profession right now, we're struggling with recruitment and retention. And one of the things that is very evident is this pension reform that was done back in 2011, where they split the pension and went from Tier 1 to Tier 2. People have to work longer and for less money. And I just don't see that as a benefit for police officers and firemen and teachers. And I think it's been detrimental. So we hear all these things out of Springfield, out of Chicago. We have a recruiting and retention crisis. We have a teacher crisis. We have a police crisis. We have a fire crisis with recruitment and retention of these individuals. And we did this back in 2011. We did it to ourselves. You can obviously, I'll go back to nights, weekends, holidays, all for low pay, and then you couple that with my pension's better than the ones that are coming after me, and that they look at that, especially this generation, your millennials, your Gen Zs, and they're looking at that going, well, I'll just go do something else. And that's really where we're at, and that's why we struggle. So I see some changes coming down the road, and some are going to be of a very conservative nature and say, no, we shouldn't be doing this. And then there's going to be the rest of us that are like, well, if you want, police officers and deputy sheriffs and firemen and teachers, you're going to have to do something different. You notice, like with the Illinois State Police, they're boasting about their pay being $90,000 a year starting, and that's great for them. Obviously, counties like McDonough and Warren and so on and so forth can't afford to pay their deputies that much, and they all deserve it. It's just where I'm going at with that is, you get a unit like the Illinois State Police who are putting 4 people through an academy and 3 people through an academy, and they pay well.
Mm-hmm. They pay $90,000 now.
Yeah. So if they can't only scrounge up 18 people to put through an academy, and they're going to pay them literally, $100,000 a year, the first year they're working there, what's that got to say about our profession? And all the rest of us are going through that. We're all struggling. I had 4 people apply the last time. I know Macomb had just went through a testing cycle. I think they had 15, 16, 17 people that applied. They had, 10 or 12 show up. I don't think Warren or Monmouth would be any different. And I know they're not. So we have to do something. And I don't know if the answer is better pay. I don't know. I think it's probably just a combination of things that's going to have to happen. So good for the state to actually, start those processes of maybe restructuring a little bit, or at least starting to talk about it. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that would be good. Also, we talked off air a little bit about insurance premiums and what will happen due to the Safety Act curve.
Yeah, no one's talking about that, and shame on them, because we're seeing an increase in theft. We're seeing an increase in car theft in four-wheelers and UTVs and different things that are insured, boats. And the insurance companies are going to pass this along to the consumers. And I don't see a lot of people talking about it. And it's another thing that we did to ourselves. and there's no one that can deny that we did it to ourselves. So I've heard a lot of people that are, grumbling about, hey, my insurance went way up. It's going to continue. It's not going to stop anytime soon. So get ready. I just think that, the legislators out there, the legislators out there need to start having this conversation about we didn't either, it's an unintended consequence of the Safety Act. Like, hey, we didn't think of this, or shame on you for not, or we told you that this was going to happen, and we should start talking more seriously about it.
So the folks that are stealing, they figured out this no cash bail, but
yeah.
So they're just coming back.
Revolving door. They go out, they're stealing tools, and then they turn around and they get arrested, and right back out the door. And a week later, we're hearing their name again. And yeah. And
some of them are wearing ankle bracelets.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And still committing the crimes.
Oh yeah. I got some stories for you. I probably can't go into them over the air, but yeah. There you have people out there who are monitored and are still committing crime. And it just goes to show what they think of our criminal justice system in Illinois.
So once they're apprehended while being monitored, while committing this
then they
crime,
get detained after that.
Okay.
So that's kind of like that's the I'm getting loud. That's the haste, right? You're out.
Okay.
That's
so
the
by that time
that's
they do
typically
get
that's typically like, hey, okay, now we look silly, and I think it really is. I think we look silly. We look silly doing that to people, and we look silly supporting that type of behavior, and yeah, so yeah, that's. We need to start getting away from that.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best. All I can tell you is we think of all of you on the streets protecting our communities, and just seeing the terrible tragedy in North Carolina last night. Just thinking about our deputies and officers who tried to go out and
we got Police Week coming up here the 6th through the 10th
in May. Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to see There's usually a ceremony I think it'd be Thursday next week in Springfield. I go every year. It's great to see it. That's when they put the names on the wall and the families get to come, and you get some politicians that'll stand up and give some speeches and talk about how much they love us. And the unfortunate part about our jobs is people still try to kill us. And that tragedy down in North Carolina, I mean, we're just seeing the very beginning stages of what that was all about. But yeah, three U.S. Marshals and a city police officer dead, serving a warrant. So
Serving a warrant, yeah.
yeah, and we all do that every day.
Right.
So.
My best to all of you, and
Thank
please
you.
stay safe. And most people care very much about our police. And,
I think so.
And first responders and deputies, officers, so dispatchers, all of that good stuff. A National Police Week coming up. We will celebrate with you. Again, thanks to you guys very much. Anything else you want people to know?
I think we touched on a lot.
Okay. McDonough County Sheriff Nicholas Petitgout with us